Hey everybody, it is I, Uncle Greg, aka the Free American Spirit, and today we're back with the Nokta Legend. And I'm going to tell you the good and bad. Is it for a beginner or not? But before we get into that, I want to talk about the different packages. So in my last video, I talked about the, what was it, the MindLab Xterra Pro, and all the, what do you call them, groupies for MindLab just went berserk because they didn't like what I had to say, even though at the beginning I said this is a very good machine, it works for the dollar amount, yada yada, but here's some things I don't like. Because when people give reviews, they always just tell you all the flowery good BS, and they never tell you the junk. So let's get on with it. This machine, I bought it as a Nokta Legend. It was a regular. So basically it came with this handle assembly, it came with a different armrest, it came with a different middle shaft, and it came with this 11-inch round coil. So what happened was they came out with a new model called the Legend Next Generation. The Next Generation included this upgraded armrest, the center carbon fiber, even though the regular one had a carbon fiber, and then upgraded you to a double D coil. Okay, so the only difference is the older one weighed 3.3 pounds, and now that I've made all the changes, it weighs 3 pounds even. Now, this older armrest is a little bigger than that one, so the slot there means that the arm band is a little bigger. So if this ever busted, I'd have to replace the whole thing, but that's the way it goes. Nice thing is I do have a backup nut and bolt. I have a backup, the old middle aluminum piece. See, it's aluminum. And I have the coil in case if I want to do something different. One good thing about all the Nokta detectors is they came with a manual. So unlike the MindLab that you have to download right from the beginning, you got a manual, at least the simplex. The upper grade MindLabs I think have a manual. Now keep in mind, all these machines are, you can upgrade software, and if you get so many versions up, this manual kind of will be obsolete, and you'll have to get another manual, or do it on your phone if you want to scroll around and magnify forever. And they also come with the earmuffs. So on MindLabs, these are in addition. So for example, if you're going to buy the MindLab 700, it would be $699 without the earphones at the time of this publication, which is where are we, January 8th or 9th. And if you wanted headphones, it would be $749. So I upgraded mine by buying a kit. The kit includes that coil, the middle shaft, the armrest, and at this time that kit is $152. The way it was as a regular Legend, it was $483 at this time, and if you buy the Next Generation, which includes all this, it's $549. So for $79 you get more, and don't have to pay as much. However, I do have a backup coil, a backup nut, a backup armrest, and a backup middle shaft because I paid the $152. So if you already own one, that's up to you. Alrighty, so let's get into this. I'm going to tell you right now that this is probably comparable to the Equinox 900 and the 700 pretty much, other than the MindLab will get just a little deeper for the most part. It's not all the time, but most of the time it'll go a little bit deeper, maybe an inch, 2 inches, not even that far, an inch, inch and a half, somewhere in there, unless conditions are perfect. But overall, the menu on this thing is pretty complicated. It has more addressable menu items than the Equinox 700, but it has less than the 900. This has a bunch of little bells and whistles, like a flashlight that I don't need, and a vibrator, but to some people that night hunt, that's important, or if you're deaf like I am, vibrating may help, but once you lose your sound completely, it's really kind of hard, because that's the main thing that we focus on. Good thing about this is I can change all the tones in in the menu, which we'll get to in just a little bit here. So I'm not doing a whole big, you know, telling you how great it is discriminating and separating in depth. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. It's a good detector. It stacks up with ones hundreds of dollars more. For example, that Equinox 700 without headphones is $699. With headphones is $749. So $749 versus $483 the way this sits now. Or excuse me, $549. So $783 versus $549, basically 200 bucks. Or if you went up to the 900, you're looking at $1149, I think it was, with the headphones, $1099 without. So $11.99. This is half the price and almost as good. The only other thing I don't like about this is a minor thing, but if you water hunt, that 11-inch coil is kind of like the Mine Labs. They're pretty heavy to get through the water. For some reason, you know, coils from like Whites to Surf PI and things like that had a larger coil, but they were thinner, maybe a little heavier. I don't know what it is. They just seemed easier to push through the water. This one's a little heavier to push through. Nothing major, but you know, you got 3 pounds plus pushing it through the water. If you're older, something to think about. You know, I mean, the only way you're going to get really around that is to jump up to the dais. Then you're looking at $14.99, but you're also then getting way more, you know, for your money as far as depth and separation and, you know, all the things it does in all the different fields, you know, whether it's relic hunting or whatever. So one thing I don't like about this is that you have to kind of know where the menus are, and you kind of have to memorize some things. So it has kind of a complicated menu system like the Deus does, but at least the Deus spells words out and this one doesn't. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to hit this button for settings. Now I'm going down the settings. So if I scroll left or right, it goes around these little icons. This one is icon, I don't know if you can see it, that's for doing your EMI. The next one is your volume, or excuse me, is your recovery speed. It doesn't tell you that, you just got to know. Next is volume, you kind of figure that out. I've got it turned down low. The next are all your tones. So here you got to know that you have to go up an arrow to get into all these, and then once you do, you can scroll left or right, and then once you're in there, so I'm in 6 tones. I think you can do 2, 4, 6, 60, and then pitch, I believe. And then I always use 6. I really don't know. I haven't changed it in months. Then you got the tone pitch, meaning, you know, what sound, but as you can see, it doesn't say anything, so you've got to press up, and see that first zone just lit up, and now you can change it up or down. Then you can go to the right, do the next one, go to the right, go to the right, go to the right, go. So down here in low conductivity, I changed mine to 1. They're usually all 10. Okay, and you can accept to get back to this. Then you go left, and that is the tone pitch. Now that's different than volume. That's like or okay. So now you're going to do the same thing. Go 1 arrow up. I've got mine at 1, which means not only is it low volume, now it's going to grunt like, you know. The next one will go up. Next one will go up. Next go up. I think these are all normally, you know, they go 10, 20, 30, whatever. I want mine low, so that's what I did. The next one, that's the tone break. Now as you can see on my custom, it comes all the way down to 9. That's because I went up, and on that one I included all the way up to 10, right, to accept, because I want to get that little small jewelry. But on my tone break, I went down to 9 to get all that stuff. On my tone break, I went up to 10 because I want that sound to be low. So the reason I want it low is when I hit a 10 or 11 and it's still going a little low, I can kind of determine, you know, is that gold or not. You know, you get the idea. Actually, I think that's backward there in my save program, which we get to in a minute. That's how I did it. Anyway, so now we're back down here. I can't remember. Oh yeah, that's the how it's registering back and forth. The tone breaks, which we already did. Yeah, okay. So go back, or accept rather. Now these over here, I can't remember exactly what those are for because I don't use them. And that's what I was telling you. It's like you really don't know what the names are. It'd be nice, if they had little names that popped up. And if, one is this example, and if I get out of this and let's go to volume, right, I would have to know first to hit that button again because there's a sub menu, unlike the last time where I just arrowed up. And then you see A6, I'm assuming that's AG. What is that, audio ground or automatic ground? Or, well, no, it's audio gain, which means if you have a smaller item that's deeper and you get those whisper soft, if you up your audio gain, it's going to make that sound louder. So, my suggestion to Nokta that I sent in would be to add some words, because I've been using this for months. So I still can't remember. I got to mess with it for a while, until I save the program. I'd usually use that program because I only do beach hunting now for the most part. I mean, if I go out and do a little bit of coin hunting or park shooting or the curb strips like I do, then I've got to get in there and mess around with it. So I saved the program. We'll go here in a minute to over here to programs. Oops. Hit settings. Go back over. Oh, now that I made that oops, I hit the wrong button and I hit save. It's going to save whatever I did. Okay, so even if I don't hit that button, if I turn the machine off at this time and I turn the machine back on, it goes to that save setting, to whatever adjustments you made. Well, that's real great until I go into a program I've saved. So this is another thing I told Nokta. I said, hey, when I go to a program and I save it, for example, we were switching over here, I'm in the little personal programs. There's 4 of them for each thing. This program 1 that had factory defaults now has whatever little things I switched, which I don't like that. I think you should have a choice to either switch it or not. Worse is when I go up and go to number 2 and I hit accept. That's supposed to be a saved program. Now there's 4 of those for each mode, for park, field, beach, whatever. So if you went to 4 different beaches, you could theoretically put in 4 things, but I wouldn't remember what they are because I can't name them, like Crescent Beach, Melbourne, Ponce Inlet, whatever. So the problem with this is, even with a saved program, if I start making changes, it'll change it next time I turn on, which is like ridiculous, dude. That, what's the point of saving it? So hopefully it'll fix that. Now maybe I'm wrong, and like we had the Line Lag groupies, I'm sure the Legend fanboys and girls are going to pounce all over me if I said that wrong. But I looked at the new updated manual. It's kind of confusing when it comes to this anyways, about how it saves it. If you read it, I'd show you a picture of it, but I'm too lazy to insert it. That's another thing you can do, is make that more clear. Anyways, I can't, you can save it, but, God forbid you change things again. Then you got to come home, erase the program, go to factory salt, do it all over and save the program. So my suggestion is, when you're in a program like that, just don't hit any damn buttons, other than the pinpointer button. And make sure you're looking down, because if you hit that setting button and go in settings and change things, you're in for it. So that's what I don't like about this machine. I mean, if they could make it a little lighter, put words on there so you know what you're doing, make the programs that you can either save or not save, choose not to save after whatever, or once you're in a saved, you name the program, to name it, That would be better. Or when you're doing those secret sub menus and AG and what do you call it? AG and got Iron Ferris and not Iron Ferris, but Iron Mask and whatever. All those pop up. It would be so much better if you could just, you know, they would have a word: audio gain, ground balance. What's the other ones? It's not solid. It's stability. There's a couple more. I can't remember them all, and that's the point. I can't remember them all. So there you go. So that's my thing. So if you're a beginner, I think that the only reason you should get this is because in 6 months or a year you're not going to have to upgrade. But if you're scared of menus and this, that, and the other, you're going to struggle with it a little while. And the only thing I can tell you is to write everything down, and you know, after you're going through it, you write it down. This is how you change this and this and this, so you can understand it, or highlight it in your manual. Get the manual, so when you're on the beach, you can pull that manual out or your highlights or whatever and do it. If you're a guy with fairly decent amount of experience, you're used to digital detectors and menus, you still may stumble a little bit, but it's definitely for you. Because you're going to save a ton of money going the next step up to the Mind Lab 700, 900. You know, I really don't know what else to tell you about it. Like I said, it's a good machine. It's just a little heavy and clunky, but it works good. It discriminates well. You know, the ground balance seems to work. You know, it's not too bad on my beaches anywhere. There's a little chatter every once in a while, and you can mess with the stability or the sensitivity to get that down. Always do an EMI. It is a little difficult to change the notches. You know, you can do it automatic where you're over a thing and say reject or whatever. That's pretty good with the up or down button. But if you're trying to change it at home, you've got to press a couple different buttons and whatever to get into that mode. Anyways, so, but other than those little kinky things, overall, at a $550 machine, it's probably the better value out there until you get, you know, over $1,000, because you're just not going to compete with those. And you know, once you get into the Manicore or the XP2, so definitely, if I had an Excalibur like I used to have, I just sold my Excalibur not long ago. And this is why I bought this. When I sold that, I bought this to later as my backup. So my XP is still my main machine. It just flat out does a better job. And then this is my backup because, you know, it's a little easier. It reads pretty good on the target ID. You know, no machine is perfect. The sounds, when it separates, it makes different sounds. I like that. You know, I can adjust them to what I can hear because I got a lot of ringing in my ears. And so it has a lot of good features. You know, way more than back in the day. You know, where you got a $500 machine, it did a third of what this did, or half, maybe half. You know, it's multi-frequency. That's another plus. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. I've got a link to Serious Detecting if you want to use them. They sell these. They're real reasonable. The customer service is great. Their shipping is fast. Their prices are wonderful. And that's all I got for you today, kids. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thumbs up, like, all that BS. You know the routine. Love you. Peace.